Awesome. All right. Welcome to July's community call. This week, or I guess this month, I really want to dig into what I think is some of the biggest challenges that we face as coaches. And that's usually what's happening when clients aren't with us. So it's like we can write them the perfect plan. But when our clients aren't sleeping well, if they're sleeping 4 hours a night, they're eating once a day, they're running on caffeine and stress. I have personally seen it. It's like they're consistently working out, they're hitting the gym when they're supposed to, and they're just not seeing the progress that they want to see. So today I just want to focus on what I call solving the 23-hour problem. So the other 23 hours that our clients aren't with us. So today I want to help just bridge that gap without feeling like you're burning out and you're just having to continuously provide and provide and provide for your clients. So without doubling your hours or without becoming just that life coach for your client too. But I want to look at how we can, or how you can start small, build some confidence, and then deliver real value just by integrating simple lifestyle nutrition strategies into your coaching in a way that's sustainable for both you and your clients. Um, so just real quick before we get started, and feel free during this call, come off mute, interrupt me. I'd like to have conversations. Let this be collaborative. But what comes to mind when you hear a 23-hour problem in your own coaching practice? Like, are you seeing these things that your clients are complaining about? I'm not seeing progress, I'm not seeing progress. But then when you start digging into what's happening, and then the truth kind of starts to come out. What do you guys think, or what comes to mind when you think that or hear that? Anyone?
That it's rarely a mystery.
Yeah.
Rarely.
They think it's a mystery. I
Yeah.
have some of my favorites where we had clients who they own a really cool business. They create um, and I can't even think of the correct terminology right now. Um, prosthetics, sorry, prosthetics for amputees, and they have their own business and they travel a lot. But they follow our gym social media page, so we followed them back, and they would come in and they would say like, "Oh, we're not seeing progress, we're not seeing progress," but we're seeing everything you're posting in your social story, which is probably the reason that you're not seeing some of that progress. So to them, I think it's a mystery sometimes, but to us, I think we kind of know what's happening. But has anybody in here already started coaching, lifestyle nutrition coaching? And if you have, like, is that something that you started from the beginning, or is that something that you started later on, and kind of what inspired you to start doing that? Like just coaching beyond just the workout?
I can answer up a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm coming from a CrossFit affiliate. We've been around 15 years, and I saw this big gap in lifestyle nutrition. Um, and part of it was we just didn't, as owners and coaches, we didn't feel comfortable with our knowledge base. And then if even once we got some knowledge, it was in application. So there's lots of knowledge-based things out there. And then I feel like there's a lot more application-based teachings and learnings that you can do now. But I mean, at the beginning, we're talking like 7 years ago, probably, I was sitting in workshops and clinics next to registered dietitians. And so I was like, whoa, like, well, what are you doing here? You have all the knowledge. Like, why are you here? And it was all about like applying. So the more I have done it, um, the more, and what the hard thing is, we had this base, this kind of 10-year base when we started actually launching it, of people, just worrying about working out. And now all of a sudden they were getting inundated with information. And it was really hard to go, well, Steve, you're the guy that I was just at a picnic with last week, and you were down in hot dogs and drinking beer. Like, what are you going to tell me about fitness and nutrition? Because, in the CrossFit space, we have such community. And at the beginning, we were, I'm 55 now. So now, I was 40, I was a different person then. So I think it's really hard to separate yourself when, especially if you're I have partners, but as a single owner and coach, if you're not at the beginning, if you're not the guy with the six pack and all ripped, people are looking at you like, what are you going to tell me? Um, that, and then, separating yourself and from the person that you have become in your members' eyes, and then trying to launch that in person. Online, it's easy because they don't know who you are, right? So you're whoever you portray yourself, in your first client meeting, evaluation, online type stuff. But when I found it in person with an established already group that had their vision of what they knew about you, that was like the biggest hurdle for me. And then the next step was behavior, right? And of course, when you're starting off, um, doing things wrong, you make mistakes. And so then it's like, when you made some mistakes along the way, was it in follow up, or then it's like hard to get somebody to come back around as you learn new stuff.
Yeah, and I think Brandon brought up a good point too in the chat, is that I feel like a lot of people come in with this health and nutrition mindset, is that it's all or nothing, that there's like no balance, and that people need to, and that's one thing that we preach to our clients at our gym, is that I'm not here to tell you no cookies or no hot dogs or no beer. Now, there might not be, here are the non benefits of drinking alcohol, but if you want to enjoy it every now and then, cool, just understand that it might disrupt your sleep, or you might feel bad the next day. But we're never just like anti absolutely no this. It's like you have to enjoy life, but there's ways to do it in balance. And that's kind of what this, solving this 23-hour problem is to help your clients understand that there is balance, and that you're not trying to overhaul their life, even though they might have a million different things they need to fix. We want to start small and start with the basics and help them master that, so then they can enjoy life without it disrupting their progress, or them seeing like it's disrupting their progress. But awesome, thank you for sharing that. And like we are seeing is like client results are won or lost outside the gym. And I think we see this as fitness professionals, is that your clients are consistent, they're showing up, they're doing the work, but maybe they just haven't mastered all that stuff outside of the gym first. And so they're frustrated, you're frustrated because they're frustrated, or maybe I know sometimes I take it personal, because it almost feels like they're attacking you or your programming, as this isn't working and why isn't it working? And it's like, we really need to look at this broad picture. And that's the truth. It's rarely the program that's broken, and it's usually what's happening in those other 23 hours a day. And that's a hard conversation to have with clients sometimes. So it's like, even if they do have the best training, that can't outwork chronic sleep deprivation, high levels of unmanaged stress, poor digestion, skip meals, if they're having energy crashes throughout the day from blood sugar spikes. And we have this data to back it up, is that 91% of successful client outcomes come when we address lifestyle and nutrition alongside their training. So not instead of it, but alongside of it, knowing that these things go hand in hand. So I think like us as coaches and professionals, that we have to stop thinking our job ends with exercise selection and progressive overload. We really do have to sometimes handhold our clients. Um, that was really hard for me as a coach. I think when I first started, is understanding that some of my clients need a lot more hand holding. And then you have some clients who just show up and do what you ask, and they're super easy. Um, but I think our role as coaches, and I think we're starting to see this evolve as the profession grows, is that we're being called to support the whole person, not just exercise. And so I think we're also starting to see that clients are wanting this. We're starting to see that shift in fitness, and it's not just I want to be the best, I want to have those six-pack abs. No, now it's I want to move for as long as possible. I want to be as independent for as long as possible. I want to have good cognitive health for as long as possible. And we're starting to see that this starts with not only exercise, but getting into this lifestyle thing these lifestyle things. So being able to feel better, sleep better, eat better, and just live better overall. Think about a client who didn't get results despite their consistent training. So think if you have that person, what do you think was missing? Does anyone have a client that comes to mind? And you can either come off mute or you can drop it in the chat. Um, or if you don't have a client in mind, how do you right now currently support the other 23 hours? Like what's working for you, what's not working for you? Go ahead, Sharif.
Some people simply think that if they don't eat, for example, they will lose weight, or that probably they have a misperception about certain food that they are healthy and they're not. And even when you tell them like this is wrong, you shouldn't eat this will add calories, they will tell you that it's just a small piece, for example. So there's always like misconceptions that they don't want to know about because they still want to enjoy that snack time they have at the end of the day, for example, or something like that. So it's usually for me it's related to um, wrong eating behaviors usually.
Yeah. And I think we see that a lot too or I think I'm noticing with one of my clients is they think they're eating healthy, but it's either wrong types of food or not enough of one food. I see the most in my female clients lack of protein. They just never eat protein. Um, and they don't understand like if we're just loading up on carbs and fat all day long, it's gonna be hard for us to build muscle and lose weight and things like that. But yeah, I think a lot of behavior change is a big thing.
This actually, and it's funny because Brandon and I were chatting yesterday, maybe just about how we build enough trust with potential clients and clients to like really open up with us, because so much of this is so deeply rooted into personal beliefs and insecurities. And although someone may be open about wanting to make a life change, there's still all that level of resistance they have to break through to fully be transparent with you as the coach to be able to help them. So I don't know if anyone has had really good success getting to build establishing that level of trust with a client, over time or off the bat, to be able to get them to really open up and have those conversations without feeling any of the like personal emotions that come along with being that vulnerable.
Are you asking, are we having difficulties or does anyone have difficulties creating trust or attuning or resonating with a client in order to like co-create the thing? Is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
like, well, what Sharif was saying is like some of these clients will like not reveal a certain snack time or food
Yeah.
behavior, and then it's hard for him to coach around that because he's not aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, it's rarely about the training or the nutrition or the sleep. It is about it, but it's the parts of them resisting those things. And they're either unconscious to it or conscious to it. And yeah, like so much attention to like resonating and trusting and having conversation and the art of like uncovering it in the dance of creating the relationship with them that makes them vulnerable and how you're going to do that. And then you start to see the bigger picture. Now you can make a more accurate adjustment. Yeah. Nothing value to add to it, but yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to dig into how coaching has changed, and how we've really made this shift from like rep counter to change maker. How clients are just consistently seeking energy, confidence, sleep, weight loss, and not just workouts. So I think there was a time when being a great coach meant just having the perfect periodized training program. And now when we look at it and what the reality actually is, our clients don't just come for us for workouts, they're coming to us for clarity, accountability, guidance. Some of them just don't even know where to start, or they've tried so many different things. Or I think now with the way social media is, it's really hard to filter out the noise. There's just so much stuff out there they don't really understand or know is this accurate? Is this not accurate? Am I supposed to follow this influencer? Am I supposed to follow this person? Like, they seem to have a lot of information, but not saying that those people are wrong. It's just there's so much out there. I can see where it's very hard for people to really stick to things that are consistent. So it's like when I think about our clients, what we talk about most during consults. It's not just like, oh, I want to lift this much, I want to do that. Most of their goals come from, I want to feel better, I want to move better, I want to, unless you have those like athletes who are seeking performance goals, most of the clients that I'm seeing specifically, like personally, are, I want to sleep better. I want to be able to manage my stress. I want to be able to play with my grandkids. So things are not correlated to max numbers, lifts, things like that. Um, and so I think our value as a coach comes from being able to connect those dots across all of these domains. So movement, nutrition, recovery, stress, and lifestyle. And how can we encompass this in one package to really help the whole person? So this doesn't mean that you need to be everything to everyone. I think that is sometimes it's hard because you feel like you have to be everything to everyone, and that's just not possible, especially if you have the client roster anywhere from 50 to 7. Some of our coaches have upwards to 100 clients. I don't know how they do that, but and keep it all one-on-one. But it's like just means that you really need a framework to just help you be successful and coach beyond the gym floor. And I think that's what makes you more impactful and more valuable as a coach, is being able to provide all of this. But and we'll talk about like what frameworks we can use and things like that. But um, anybody here, has your coaching role expanded over the past year? Do you feel like you're starting to see more of these types of clients who are wanting more than just exercise or performance-based things? Or are there any like non-training conversations that you're really having with clients that are helping you kind of create this breakthrough of understanding? Go ahead, Sharif.
One of the biggest challenges for me is that some clients would go to a nutritionist next to working with me. So I would just ask questions. So why are you seeking a nutritionist? And you know everything you need to do in order to make small progress all the time. Sometimes clients just want quick results without doing a lot of work. So they simply want someone to tell them exactly, like give them meals to eat every day in order to achieve like their transformation body for this wedding they have next month, you know? So it becomes a challenge for me that I don't feel like I'm giving enough support for them. And at the same time, I know that they don't need more than what I already gave them at the beginning. They just want to rush the process and they want a shortcut. So they seek someone else in parallel in working with me, and they don't need it. And I know they don't need it. And most probably they will not even follow up and keep working with this nutritionist because he's giving them too much and they are not in this stage. They just need to cut sugar, for example. It's as simple as that. Cut sugar, add some protein, you're gonna make results in this month. But usually they think that simple is not effective. So they are seeking more all the time. Like they want more. Like you're not giving me enough. They don't say it, but I hear it. Like I can see it in their actions. Like they need more. They want someone to keep arguing about what they should eat and give them alternatives and give them like meals options. I don't know, but it's something that they seek, even if it's more simple than that.
I think simple takes a long time, and that's what's hard for people, is that they're not patient enough. My husband and I, because the model that we run, we are an OPEX gym. So I floor coach and I see some of his clients on the floor, and we start to see our clients will ask the same question to other coaches to see if they're going to get a different response, to see if they're going to get, it's almost like going to mom and dad. Mom said no, so I'm going to go to dad and see what dad says. And then they usually are upset when we're like, well, what did your coach say? Like, what are they saying? Like, when we just always refer back. But I think everybody's looking for somebody to give them or to validate their, I don't want to say their excuses, but their route, their quick route, their what they want to do. And when we're all about basics and be patient, it's really hard to hear that, I think. So the framework for coaching the whole human. So through CCP and at OPEX, we use a client-centered method that puts the whole person at the center of our coaching relationship. So this is where we start with initial consultation and intake. And this isn't just paperwork. So we do use an intake form. I know I use an intake form, and then I take the information from that intake form. And that's where I start to kind of use those questions to guide the initial consultation conversation. It allows me to dig a little bit deeper, guide those questions, kind of find out what they value and what's driving them. After we dig into all of that, then we get into the move assessment, body move and work. This just tells us our good starting point for them physically and looking at their work capacity. And then from there, we start using individual design to align training, nutrition, and lifestyle into a plan that's not only effective, but we really want it to be sustainable. And I know we've talked on like our first community call about like those short-term clients. So ideally, we're coming in with these long-term goals for our clients, but there is a way to adjust this if you do know you only have clients for a short amount of time. But this process isn't necessarily about like cookie cutter programs. It's about giving your clients exactly what they need and meeting them where they are in every domain. So not just exercise, but lifestyle and nutrition as well. So I think that's really hard for people too, is to kind of they come in with these big goals and it's really hard to bring them back down to earth sometimes and like have that hard conversation of like this is a great goal, but it's going to take a lot to get here, so we really need to break that down for them. And I just think the more conversation that you have about that is going to help your clients understand the big picture and really help them with their goals. So when we look at the framework of life fuel person, this is really like the backbone of coaching beyond just the gym. So when we're looking at life, we're really understanding like the basics. Are they sleeping well? Are they drinking enough water? Do they know how to manage stress, digestion? These are all like non-negotiables. And if this isn't solid, then it's going to be really hard for anything else to be solid as well. I remember on an enrollment, like a CCP enrollment call, I had a conversation with a coach who enrolled in CCP and explaining to her that we have an OPEX gym. This is the model that we use. And her question was, do you ever feel bad charging a high ticket price for your services when the prescriptions you're giving are so basic? And that to me was just like one of those things you're just like, huh, like I never really thought of that. But my response to her was, basic is relevant. Like it's going to be relevant, easy and relevant, or easy and basic is relevant to that person. So what we view as basic and easy, going for a walk every day, drinking half your body weight in ounces, may not be easy to everybody else. So sometimes we really do have to just focus on the basics. And once we can master those, then we can start moving into the next layers, which is fuel and person. So when we layer in fuel, this is when we start looking at nutrition, food quality, quantity, timing, and macronutrients. But we can only move here after lifestyle is stable enough to support this change. And then at the top is person. And this is where we're truly in like using individualized strategies. So this is where we do maybe personalized meal plans based on genetics, life phases, training goals, and whatever else is very specific to that client. If they have food allergies or if we're looking at food intolerances and things like that. Based on your clientele right now, where do most of your clients need the most support? I feel like mine personally still need a lot of work in life. Like they just don't understand the basics completely. Anyone else?
Say that question again.
Where do you feel like your clients need the most support in this like life fuel person frame?
Oh, it depends on the client and their values and priorities,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, like it's just, you know, it's all individualized, right? Yeah.
I think, like you said, they kind of understand the basics. They just don't see the importance of that. They want that quicker,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't see how that could bring those results that they're looking for, because it's just too simple.
Too simple. Yeah. And I think that's what yeah, that's just hard to get through to them. I had a client recently who just got her, she's a newer client, and after the first month, she's like, I'm feeling good, very brand new to exercise. She's like, I want to do more, I want to do more. And I had already kind of had that conversation that more isn't always better. We just want to do better things better. So like we want to work on still mastering some of these things. Well, then she got blood work done and it all came back not as well as she was expecting. So cholesterol is very high. She's pre-diabetic. All the markers were indicating poor health. And so she was like, I need to completely overhaul and get aggressive with nutrition. I need to start doing macros and counting calories. And I was like, no, we don't. Like we can still get the let's work on the basics first. Because right now you're still eating out for every meal. So we need to get consistent with cooking home cooked meals. We need to get consistent with eating 3 meals a day. So it's like just having that conversation. I think people just all of a sudden think I need to overhaul everything. And then once they try and do that, that's where we see a lot of people kind of fall off because they are doing too much and it's hard to sustain until they've mastered those basics. But
I think it's I think it's beneficial to walk through the phases or the levels, just in the sense that over year or over seasons, or they might be on vacation, priorities change, or you want to adjust. Like if you're on vacation, just focus on basic lifestyle guidelines. When you're home and can control everything, we can take a step out. So if you just skip to that level 3 or more specific stuff, and not doing really well on the basic lifestyle guidelines, you don't have the same way, like flexibility to adjust on the circumstances. So if you're on vacation, for example.
when I think vacation is a perfect example of understanding that you can still enjoy life. You can still go on vacation and it's not going to completely disrail everything. Go enjoy your week. Choose 80% of the time, try and have nutrient dense food. But if you're going out to dinner and you want to enjoy, or you want to have ice cream and with your family and things like that, enjoy it. And then just try and get back to what you were doing with that. Instead of, I think people kind of have that mindset of like, oh, I ate like crap the last 3 days. Like, I'm just going to continue to do this. They just kind of give up and fall off. But I think it's just teaching them that life happens and that's what we want to do is find that balance there. But and I think that goes with everything we've kind of been saying right now is that we can write the perfect plan, but if it's not aligned with the client's current beliefs, their values, or their capacity, it's not going to work. So we really need to understand what can they handle right now? What are their goals? And then we need to, and what are their values? Because some people come in with all these goals, but it's just not a priority to them. And we can keep telling them that it needs to be a priority, but until they really understand and want to make that a priority, we can't force that. What we think is a priority to us, we can't force that on them. And this is why behavior change is at the core of everything that we do. The basics is just understanding how to change behavior. And it starts by understanding the why behind why they're doing the things that they're doing. We have to really understand that. This is where I use our initial consultations, conversations, weekly check-ins, and this is where you can ask them things like, where are they spending most of their energy? What does a day really look like for them for wake up to bedtime? And I think eventually, like we were talking about at the beginning, is some people aren't going to tell you everything. Eventually, they're going to start uncovering, like, oh yeah, I actually have to take 3 melatonin to go to sleep every night, and they don't really open that up until it's like, okay, we need to really look at energy levels and circadian rhythm. Um, and then we can always ask them too, like, what's one habit that always seems to fall off when life gets busy? So when work stress hits, when life gets super busy, or I'm on vacation, what's the first habit that goes away? And that's the one we probably need to focus on and really ingraining all the time. And then once we can understand that with our clients, that's where then we can really build aligned habits and not just based on willpower, but actually have them value the things that they want to fix and get better at. So it's not just about helping them. I mean, it's about helping them become more aware, more intentional, and then just more in control of all of the behaviors that they're showing. What's one question that you like to ask during consultations or check-ins? Like, what do you feel like gives you the most information, or really kind of turns that mirror back onto them, that where they're just like, ah, yeah, okay, you see me and you really do want to help. Like, do you have any powerful questions that you ask?
I like to keep it broad and see where they take it. If we're talking at the back end, like how are things going? Because you pull on one thread, you'll eventually arrive, I think, at what is top of mind and important for them, rather than me like pushing a particular agenda. And don't get me wrong, as coaches, I think we have like certain things we want to address. Like there's an elephant in the room, like, hey, you missed all your workouts, you're this, but you want to talk about this thing. But I guarantee if you pull on whatever thing that's top of mind for them, you can bring them back around and see if you can tie it into their training. So yeah, keep it broad. That's what I typically do to start off with, you know. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else have anything? How do you know when, like, what's a key indicator for you when a client is ready to take on a new habit or behavior? Do you have like a compliancy goal? Like, just what is something that you see, like, okay, yeah, they're ready. Let's try this now.
The rest of you guys can chime in, but I think you get, as coaches for a while, you can sense it, right? Like they're consistent, they're showing up, they are engaged, you are co-created, they are involved in the process to the degree which you set the expectations with them, and they're asking for it, right? That's a big one, right? They ask for it. They're not asking for it, and they're not curious, and they're disengaged, and they're missing things. Maybe that's not it, but yeah, I think you can sense it as a coach when someone's ready to push. What's the you know the when they're ready, it will appear, right? Like they'll ask for it, I think.
But what if they ask for it and you know they're not ready?
Oh, I think that's a great opportunity for a conversation, right? You kind of say, okay, like, they're asking for what, let's get an example, right? Like, hey, I want to start weighing and measuring. Okay. What do you think let's uncover it. Like, what do you think that's going to take? Have you done this before in the past? Yes or no? How did that go? Like, do you own a scale? Do you understand how to do it? Do you do this? Like, what do you think the outcome of this is going to be? And to be honest, sometimes you let your client experience those things, and I think they'll get some really good things out of it. Like, hey, as a coach, I think sleep and stress and water, we're here, and I think we're jumping through some things. However, if you want to experience this, we can head in that direction. And then you're letting them craft their own thing. You are empowering them to make the decision. I'm not going to be like, no, you're sleeping 6 hours a night. Will they get benefit from weighing and measuring? Yeah, they're going to get benefit from weighing and measuring. Sure, like a lot of awareness, a lot of things. But if they're not, it's just beautiful conversation, I think.
Awesome. All right. So one of the frameworks or the blueprints that we use through CCP is what we call the NEPA framework. So this is your coaching conversation blueprint. NEPA stands for noticing, explaining, prescribing, and action. So, and this is just a continuous cycle because it just never ends. It's like once we master one thing and we implement it, it's like then we notice something else, and now it's time to work on this. So when we notice, we're observing what's happening, we're using data, trends, and feedback to spot patterns. When we explain, we're connecting the dots. We're helping the client understand why this is showing up, why we're giving them this, why we're thinking we should work on this first. Prescribing based on what we see, we give them one clear appropriate action. Maybe it's two clear actions. So just whatever the client can handle. So everything's going to be based on your specific client. And then action, implement, monitor, and adapt. And so just know that nothing is static. We stay responsive. You can always adjust things. We have clients who, even just in exercise, like if they're coming back from injury and we think we're ready for one thing, and maybe we have to go back to a more basic exercise just because, hey, we're not quite there yet for strength or balance coming back from this injury or things like that. Same thing with lifestyle. Like, hey, we thought we were consistent here, but we're noticing we're falling off track here, here, and here. So let's take a couple steps back. And this just gives you a consistent way to coach, not only exercise, but sleep, hydration, stress, energy, without making it overwhelming. And it just keeps you focused. And then it also gives the client some structure too, and really helps them understand the why behind everything that they're doing. So why clients don't follow through, and let's talk about why they don't follow through. And most of the time it's not because they don't care. It's usually because the solution was either too complex or it didn't fit into their real life. And I think that's where we come in understanding how to really master the basics and break those basics down into simple steps. So if we're saying, hey, you're only drinking 40 ounces of water a day, but you need to be drinking at least 100 ounces a day if we're really going to focus on hydration. I'm not just going to say tomorrow you need to drink 100 ounces. Like we might need to gradually increase that. Same thing with sleep, or stress management. It's really hard to just overhaul that completely. And some of the common culprits is they don't have enough time, or they think they don't have enough time. They're confused by conflicting info. Tracking is overwhelming. They lack accountability. That's where you come in. And sometimes we have those clients who really need a lot of accountability. And then you have some clients who I'm like, I should probably check in with this person because they show up and they do what they're asked, and I don't hear from them a whole lot. And then sometimes it's just too many changes at once. And so that's where it's like we really want to identify lowest hanging fruit and drive on those and then gradually add. So I think like our job as coaches is to remove friction and to help simplify and just to help support them overall. And this might look like assigning one lifestyle habit per month. This might be using some of their wearable data to track sleep instead of adding more manual tasks for them. This is just, I think the key is meeting them where they are, building trust through this process, and then not applying more pressure than they can handle. And this is where we'll kind of get into, we can do an overview of some of the new lifestyle features in CoachRx. And this is what I love about the features in CoachRx is like, I don't use lifestyle as like a set it and forget it type thing. Like, I'm just not giving you lifestyle habits just to track. It's like, we're really looking at, are you getting consistent at, if you work from home and you're not walking more than 3,000 steps, it's like, are you getting consistent at 4,000 steps? Okay, we've done this for 2 weeks. Now we're going to get consistent at 6,000 steps. And so it's like we're consistently adding, and breaking these goals down and these habits down so that we can habit stack and make them more consistent. Are there any barriers that you repeatedly see with your clients when it comes to outside factors? I know time, especially my parents who have kids or multiple kids, it's trying to find the time between jujitsu schedules and vacations and school things. Like, are there any barriers that you consistently see?
Define outside. You said outside barriers. Time, I think, is an inside barrier, right? Like that's the choice of them. Is that what you're getting at with it?
I think just like, I guess like barriers outside of the gym in terms of like, yeah, time, like what's causing them to not be compliant in
Yeah.
the things they want to reach their goals? Is it time? Is
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Sympathetic nervous system, right? Like bench players, coping mechanisms, environment changes, and so on. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, just overwhelmed all the time. Yeah.
What I would see when I was working with women is that they weren't even on the to-do list. They were taking care of everybody else, and it's like, well, this isn't going to work.
Mhm.
Not long term.
Yeah. And I think it's hard to do that when you're used to taking care of everybody else. It's like it's hard to leave time for yourself. That was a huge shift for me once I had my child, and I had all the time in the world to, like, after work I could go work out. I own a gym. I could go whenever I want. And now I have a 3-year-old that I have to keep alive on a daily basis. Like, it's just trying to figure out, and we own a business and we don't have childcare. So it's like managing that schedule. And it's like you have to just figure out what works for you. But a lot of the suggestions I have for my clients too is schedule your workout. You wouldn't miss an important meeting. You wouldn't miss this. It's like actually scheduling it. Yes, it is, Brandon. Sometimes, yeah, I question if who let me be a parent, um, but yes, it like just scheduling that workout for yourself, because you wouldn't miss anybody else's stuff. So it's like you have to actually really start putting it on the schedule for yourself and make it a priority. And that's hard to do. I get that, but is there anything in your coaching that you've simplified, like in your process that has helped clients follow through more consistently? So think about like if you've had, like whether it's programs or whether it's like just like as simple as wake up and put a glass of water beside your bed and that's the first thing you drink like when you wake up, like so it's you instantly have 8 to 12 ounces of water. I mean it could be as simple as that, just trying to get
I'm
ideas.
obvious. I'm obviously not coaching, but I have my morning routine and my evening routine that, every night I prepare my OPEX lemon water so that it's in the refrigerator in the morning and I can just grab it and drink it first thing before I reach for coffee. But something as simple as that, it's like I know before I go to bed I'm going to make that little cocktail so I have it ready in the morning.
I think I'm going to pull it back to something you said earlier about like this prescription's far too simple for you to be paying me this much money for. And I said that like there's a difference between drink water and I want you to drink this much water. And I've arrived at this conclusion for these 20 individualized reasons. Like the depth of understanding of your client and why and what they care about, what they like, what they don't like, the choice that they have in the matter still comes to the same outcome of a simplified thing, but it is far more aligned. So you're asking the question like, what have you simplified that help clients follow through? Just a simple, still arriving at a simple thing, but incredibly aligned and them understanding to the depth that they want to on how you arrived at this conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just shows too that they're like, oh, this coach actually is listening to what I have to say. They're a real person, they're a human. They understand, like I think just that empathy in general of understanding that life is hard. We all go through phases, different seasons of life, and everyone's is in a different season, and every season is different and busy and not busy. And um, yeah, so I think just aligning everything to exactly what they need and what their goals are, and if they're not aligned, making sure that we're helping them kind of get on that track and align as well, which is hard to do sometimes, but
It's so interesting because I mean, I don't remember when the James Clear book came out, and I think it was Tiny Habits before that, but it's years and years and years, right? Where, right, culture is talking about the importance of habits and habit stacking and creating behaviors that are positively beneficial to make them autonomous. But it's still such a struggle for everyone. So again, to the price point question, like so simple but so hard to implement, finding ways to maybe demonstrate where there is a lack of autonomous behavior, or maybe it's not autonomous. I mean, is it autonomous? Is that the right word? On the Yeah, autonomous, right? Or automatic, I guess is the word I'm going for. Where it just happens because it's something you do every day. It's part of who you are. It's part of your life. It's become your identity. And it's a behavior you repeat without having to be reminded, which is a lot of what the Lifestyle RX does is try to create that consistency in learning one single habit and then stacking against the rest.
yeah. And this is where I think, like, because CoachRx is built on OPEX principles, we've done, like, as a team, we've done a really good job of putting this lifestyle first coaching into the platform to really help coaches coach this whole person and not just deliver programs. And not saying that giving out program templates is a bad thing, because there's a time and place for people who are, especially if you're wanting to get more one-on-one clients and you're using that as your low ticket offer, or if you are selling program templates for sports and things like that, it's great. But if you are doing this one-on-one coaching and that's really where you're building your business around, this is where CoachRx comes in to play with just being able to implement these strategies without adding more work to yourself. So you're making your existing coaching more efficient. So you're already doing it, but now how can we deliver it to the clients without you feeling overwhelmed by like, oh, I need to give all of these lifestyle prescriptions and all of this stuff. And it's like just spreadsheet after spreadsheet or text messages or things like that. So I think especially once we get our wearables integration up and live, which hopefully is coming very soon, this is going to make all of this tracking just even more beneficial for you and streamlined. So you'll be able to track sleep, stress, steps, hydration. And then I think the cool thing too is the clients can see their own progress. They can see like their streaks. They can see if they're being consistent. They know if they've fallen off. And then you can automate these check-ins and create structure and just help keep conversations focused with your clients. So I think this just having technology and the right tools is going to help make you a more efficient coach. And it's not replacing you. It's just helping you do what you're already doing and just giving you more freedom to actually build those relationships, understand your client. Like Brandon was saying, is like when you really understand them, you can align all of um, your prescriptions and things and like goals and things for them. But um, so next, we have about 10 more minutes. I can either walk through some of the platform updates if you want me to, or we can just spend this time to any like open Q&A if you want. Totally up to you guys. I'll stop sharing and then we can kind of decide what we want to do. Or if you guys want to go enjoy your holiday weekend early.
Maybe throw a number in the number 1 if you want demo, number 2 if you want Q&A.
Dealer's choice. um,
You're getting a lot of demos.
yeah. All right. So let me get out of here. And I had this pull up. Now I can't see the. Here we go. Okay. And my screen, you guys can see my CoachRx screen. And my screen might look a little bit, just my dashboard might look a little bit weird. You'll kind of notice right here, it'll say like health data not connected. So like I'm internally testing right now our wearables integration. So this will be live on once we do integrate wearables, you'll have the ability to prompt your clients that if they are wearing wearables to go ahead and connect those. And right now I'm testing like my Apple Watch, chronometer, and I'm testing my Aura Ring. Candace, what are
Yeah,
you testing?
I was just going to say, to clarify, because originally we started as wearables, but it's actually scaled beyond that. So it's more of a holistic health kit integration. There is specific data integration from MyFitnessPal and Chronometer on the nutrition tracking and logging side, as well as a myriad of other resources that we have to enable. So it is beyond like steps and sleep.
Yeah. And so some of the cool things too, and that's the wearables is consistently sending data throughout the day. So you'll kind of notice like if someone opens up their mobile app, it might say like my watch might say like I'm at 5,000 steps, but it might say like I'm at 4,000 steps on my app just because the data hasn't resent. So it's consistently updating the data, which is why we've also we've had to update how streaks is calculated because we had to make sure that it retroactively collects that streak. So let's say that the person reaches their goal is 10,000 steps and they only have 9,523 steps at 11:59 and at midnight it cancels like marks their streak out, but the data sends it and they actually met their streak. So it will retroactively go in and say yes, they met that goal and do that streak. So we went ahead and did that with exercise too. So let's say you have exercise programmed for Monday and the client doesn't do it on Monday, but they go in on Tuesday and do their Monday workout, mark it complete. It will retroactively mark that streak complete as well.
To be
So
determined, since this is still like actively in development, but we're also working on beyond just complete or not complete percent completion status, so that there's some valuable information for you and you can have that conversation of, hey, you might not have met this goal 100%, but you were 85% there and so forth.
yeah, I think that'll show good like step progress too of like, hey, for 2 weeks you were at 70%, and now look, you're at 85% complete, and just kind of showing that they're making that progress towards the overall goal. But with the new lifestyle features, so you have 2 calendars. We have exercise and lifestyle. And then we're going to hit the broccoli icon. This is how you will add lifestyle prescriptions to the calendar. So there are active time, energy, and you'll see anything that has this little green check is what is a lifestyle that's connected to our wearables integration or our nutrition integrations, our health kit integration, however we want to say that. But let's say we're doing calories and macros. If I click on this, this is going to pull up our macro calculator that we've recently just launched as well. So I can calculate this, and this is automatically going to pull information from the client's profile. So their age, their sex, their height, weight, and then you can choose their activity level, and then you can choose what their goal is. And then you can choose how you want the macros to be presented as well. And then from here, it's on the side, we can see that it's calculated the macros here. So if I would adjust this to very active, you'll see the macros are going to change. And I can show you in our help center, we did put how all of these are calculated, what formulas and stuff we're using to calculate this. So once I hit add RX, we can see that all of the targets are populated here. And then I have the ability to set what I want for fiber. And then I also have the ability to hide this from clients. So if I, like for me, some of my clients, if I'm just focusing on protein, like we really need to make sure we're hitting our protein goal every day, or maybe just protein and fiber, I can hide carbs and fat and it'll just show these two. The calories will be automatically locked because the total calorie is going to be based on the macros that are set here. And then you have the ability to set a reminder time. And then you also have the ability to set this as a recurring prescription. So if you want this daily, if you want to do every other day, maybe you want them to only track once a week. Maybe it's somebody who's just like, hey, we want to make sure we're hitting enough protein. So let's just check in like once or twice a week and have you track food. I know for me personally, I tracked for so long, it's really hard for me to continue tracking, just like the mental aspect behind it is just very overwhelming for me anymore. But you can do this daily, and then you can set this as 1 or 2 weeks. And this is where I was talking about. I love that now we can set this as like 1 week at a time, 2 weeks at a time. So if I really want to focus on, hey, we're going to focus on water hydration. We're going to focus on 50 ounces this week. Next week, we're going to up this to 60 ounces and slowly increase to where we need to go. So you can adjust this. But you can go all the way up to 12 weeks if you need to. But everybody's completely different on how you want to set these. Maybe you're tracking or adjusting macros weekly or biweekly if they're maybe getting into a surplus or a deficit, and you want to slowly get them into that as well. Any questions about
Will you
like how
cover
to
ranges, Ash? Because I know sometimes that can be confusing if the goal is met or not based on the range determined.
Yeah. So with this one, the range here is you can either have none. So this means that the client, in order to meet this target and have it say goal met, will have to actually hit 234 grams. If they go 235 grams, it will say not met. So this is where you can do like plus, or like for this one, you might do plus or minus for protein. Maybe you're going to do plus or minus 10 grams. And so I can put 10 here. So you'll see the range change from 224 to 244. So now if they hit their protein goal anywhere in between this range, it will be goal met. And now you'll see that the calories have changed as well. Maybe for carbs, I'm going to do a plus or minus 10 grams here. And then maybe for fat, I'm going to do plus or minus 5 grams. And so now if they fall within this range, it will go as met. Now, let's say you're doing steps. So let me just do save this one for here. Well, let's say we're doing steps. Where is it? And maybe I want them to have 8,000 steps or more, I can just put or more. And now if they get anything over 8,000 steps, this will be, so if they, maybe that day they're running a half marathon and they have like 20,000 steps, they're going to enter their steps, or their watch is going to pick up their steps. They'll hit it as met. Whereas if I put no range, they have to hit exactly 8 for it to be met. Any questions about that? One thing I do, if you are prescribing meal plans, I do get a lot of questions like on calls and stuff, especially a lot of like nutrition coaches who are doing meal plans only. Um, One of the things that I've recommended as kind of a workaround is if you go into the lifestyle types, I don't know if I put it on this account. So if we go to lifestyle types, this is where you can add your own lifestyle types for prescriptions that you want to add. So under this one, you can see I put like breakfast meal plan, dinner meal plan, and lunch meal plan. And it's more of just a yes, no answer. So if I go to a client and I add, so here you can see like I've added breakfast meal plan. This is where if I add the prescription, go to breakfast meal plan, under the instructions here is then where I can give like the actual meal. So if you're doing 2 eggs plus 3 egg whites, half a cup of oats, anything like that, then you can put those directions here. Or if it's 4 ounces of chicken, half cup of rice, 100 grams of broccoli, like whatever, you can put those there and then they can mark yes or no for there. So
Ashley's
just kind of,
also written some really cool pro tips on this concept here that we can also link everyone. But the idea of leveraging documents, do you want to just review that, Ashley, so that people can have just some creative ways to know that you have a lot of flexibility in the platform with the existing tool prescription? I will say we are working on a more robust solution, hopefully with Chronometer. That I can't make any promises there, but it's something that we are working on for a complete integration if you are a Pro Plus user, as well as maybe some deals for you on Pro Plus users. So that is in the works.
yeah, so most people who are doing meal plans, I've noticed, are actually just putting them in like a Word document or something like a Google Doc. So if you can download that as a PDF, and then under the, if you expand the client sidebar and go to notes and documents here, you can click the document section and just put add document. So for this client, this was my client who was just like, I need to overhaul, I need to track everything. And I was just like, nope, we don't. Like here's just some simple meal plan ideas is kind of what I gave her. So like 3 breakfast ideas, 3 lunch ideas, 3 dinner ideas that are going to help lower cholesterol, help with level blood sugar, things like that. So, and then you can just upload that here. So you would hit add document. You can name it. So if you're doing a weekly meal plan, you could label this like the meal plan by week. And then you just want to make sure that you toggle show client on. And then this will show up in the same place as all the other documents that you have in the index section, but this will only be viewable by this specific client. So any documents here will only be seen by this client. So like I'll upload their in-body scans here, just so I have them all in one place as well. But
I linked one of the pro tips just for you guys to have it. But if you go to our blog on the CoachRx website and you just search the word meal plan, along with anything else that you're interested in, there are several pro tips and articles on ideas and ways into getting creative with your nutrition prescriptions and meal plan prescriptions that and actually walks you through like step by step on there with screens of CoachRx too.
yeah. If anyone needs to jump on a call, let me know. I'm back from vacation next week. Meryl, I think we have a call booked next week. So, but yeah, if you guys have these workaround questions, we know that we don't have every feature that everybody in the world wants, but we do have some workarounds that we can make it work. So yeah, just let me know and we can jump on calls. But any other questions about platform or anything else? No. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining. Next month, Brandon is going to be leading our community call. Brandon Wilton. You already said yes, and I already pushed you down, so you don't have a choice.
I don't remember any of that. I think I must have blacked out.
But yeah,
And for any ambassadors who want to lead future calls, let us know. You're more than welcome to submit a topic and take control.
yeah. Enjoy your long weekend. Happy 4th to any and everyone who celebrates. So, and if you don't, have a great weekend. So, all right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.